This podcast is broadcast live at the Body Armor Studios within Earplug Podcast Studios. Get your edge.
Introducing Body Armor Edge, sports hydration with the boost of caffeine.
Here comes John Morant, dribbles up into some full court pressure. He's quick, dodges, slow and finds the defense, going coast to coast. One man to beat, and it's the big man. John leaps up. Oh, and hammers
With 100 milligrams of caffeine and 1,000 milligrams of electrolytes, there's no better way for John Morant to get his edge. It's more than a sports drink. It's Body Armor Edge.
You're listening to EPPN's Today with DW Sports Edition with DW, Mr. Tom Greer, and Snacks.
Holy crap. It's been 2 weeks gone. We are back. I don't even have my camera set up right. What is going on? I'm totally out of... I don't even have the background set up. Holy crap. It's going to be a good show. Holy crap. What's going on?
We're back.
We are back. Yeah, we are back. We are back. It is the sports edition. Snacks is still on snackcation. Yes, I've been gone for 2 weeks. The first week, what's going on, Timmy? The first week we had Tom and Snacks had some stuff going on. The second week I had some personal and family issues that I had to take care of. And that's just the way it goes, sadly. You know, everybody keeps asking me like, well, you keep saying real life. Isn't this your real life? And I'm like, well, it is not my full-time job. So technically it is not my real life. And that doesn't mean that I don't, what do I want to say? Don't take this as an important thing, but you know what? It's just the way it goes, you know, and I had some things to do, and it was a family obligation that I had to take care of.
It's kind of like Loki. Real life is its own multiverse. There's a lot of things that go on within real life. Lots of things are real life.
Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. So speaking of that, since Snacks is not here tonight, we always talk a little bit of pop culture because I don't get to talk pop culture with you. We let you talk baseball. So I figured, you know what? So did you watch Loki?
I did. First, before we get started, though, I just want to before we get started, I just really want to say I'm very happy to be doing the show again. It's been weird. It was weird not doing it for a couple weeks. It's very good to see you, Herb. But I did, and like I said, happy to be doing this again. But yes, I did see the end of Loki, and oh boy, does it look awesome. I have to admit, I'm not the look again. I think I've said this on the show before, and I've definitely said it on GHR. If people have to, I'm not the biggest comic book person. Like I like the cartoons. I read a little bit of the comic books and stuff.
So you are you're the guy outside the box looking in. So you are. Let's say we're gonna call you the general public. We're not gonna call you what Lewis says, the wannabe fanboys or the losers. He feels that the general public are losers. And him and I go on round and round about this on Fridays, going, don't insult them, because as far as I'm concerned, granted, our pop culture, us fanboys, and again, I am a fanboy, but I'm not the traditional fanboy who just rants and raves and yells and screams and doesn't have anything based on it. They just get mad over crap and they don't have anything behind it. And that's why we started Fanboys Bank years ago. But I fanboy out. But at the same time, our culture, for us who are diehards, are growing. It's cool. Excuse my language. You can get laid now wearing a Captain America t-shirt.
I think it's those movies and shows bringing in the people like me. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I'm not somebody who didn't know comic books or anything like that.
Right.
Like, if I didn't know comic books and I didn't know that stuff, I wouldn't have Batman tattooed on me. But like, but I am more of the laid back, casual fan.
You're casual.
Compared to everybody else. And it's those movies and TV shows that loop me in that keep that community growing. Right. You know what I mean? Of course. That's why I love Iron Man, is because of those movies.
What's going on, Mr. Little?
What's up, Brian?
But the general public, people like you, are the ones who make the sales. They're the ticket buyers. They're the ones that subscribe. They're the ones that will get Disney Plus because, I want to see Iron Man. I want to see Endgame or whatever. They're not the ones that are like, in that episode, Iron Man wouldn't have done that because in comic 153, he defeated the villain this way. Now, I'm not like that. Don't get me wrong. I have my critiques and I do my reviews, but I'm not so hard on that because at the end of the day, for us, it's like I know we will never get the comic book movie we want. We want something that comes from the RGB, the 4-color pages to go on the screen. That's not going to happen because when you do test screenings, you're testing it with general public. So you have to change things to meet the broader spectrum. Granted, our culture, our demographic is growing and growing. We're not such a minority like we were in the 70s and 80s where you were embarrassed to wear a Captain America t-shirt or you were embarrassed to say you're reading comic books. Now it's a cool thing. But the general public is the one that are the major ticket holders. And I understand they have to change the movies to adjust for the major ticket buyers.
Well, here's the thing that I'm kind of wondering at this point, and this kind of ties into what we're talking about in Loki. And what I want to say, what's really funny is I haven't seen things. I think these comic book movies, the Marvel movies and everything like that, the talk between the rabid Marvel fans and the casual Marvel fans is the closest thing to watching sports show talk debates that I've ever seen in my entire life. It's amazing.
Totally 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
But now here's the thing that I want to ask you, Herb. So Kevin Feige, I think is his name. That's how you say it?
Yes.
Feige is the guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's openly said before, he said, the reason we don't do the stuff in the comic books is because if you want those stories, go read those stories. I want to present you something different, a different story now.
Well, he doesn't necessarily do that though, Tom. Let's say Endgame, Infinity War, they are a combination of actual comic book stories. Okay, so you are taking the basic framework from a comic book story, like the Infinity Gauntlet storyline was based off the comic book, but it's changed to meet a broader spectrum. So yes, Kevin is correct in saying that we're not going to do the exact story that was, let's say, 7 issues. Why? You read it. So I do get that. But again, for the diehard fans, they're like, I want to see what was in those pages actually come to fruition on the big screen, but it doesn't work. People need to understand that it just doesn't work. The general public doesn't understand. They haven't been reading comic books for years where they have to spell out some of the things that's going on. If they did the comic book stuff, you'd be like, why did he do that? Who's that? What's going on there? Well, you weren't reading the comic books for years. You're not a fan of the Avengers. You don't know the backstory. So that's why they do change it up.
But now also, what if they, and what's up, Kim? Thank you for being here. I
love how your voice changes there, Tom. Oh, look at that. It's the Greers.
What if, because Loki did I guess not Loki did what they did, because it's all of these movies tying them together. Yep. What if, because there's this multiverse happening, you start seeing the events that happen in the universes of the comic books then becoming canon in the actual
So you're
movies.
saying what? So you're saying whatever happens in the Marvel Cinematic Universe will transfer into the comics.
What I mean is everything that is a Marvel anything that is a Marvel property, movies, TV shows, cartoons, comic books, even like the comic book worlds, all of that then becomes canon in this universe because we have a big multiverse now. We're going to see like everything.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to stay separate from the comic books. Right now, the Marvel Comics is doing what they call a reborn, and it has nothing to do with the universe. Has nothing to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like Venom is doing weird stuff. Like now there's multiple Spider-Men, more so than ever before. Wolverine is doing stuff. That would be too confusing. What's going to happen, though, what I do see, and I've said this before when I did my quick review for Loki, is that what happened in Loki is giving us the reason why we're having the What If cartoon series. What happened in Loki with all the multiverse is the reason why there's this What If series in the cinematic series for What If, because now there's a multiverse. Now there's streams and lines and whatever that's going on. Now, What If is a comic book from Marvel's back in the 70s. I think they redid a volume 2 in the 80s, and I think they did a volume 3 in the 90s, where they did these stories. But the stories that are doing what are on the cinematic universe or the TV universe are not like the ones in the comic books. So Loki's going to be, I think Loki's going to be more of a key to what's going on in the cinematic universe than WandaVision. Now, we know that Wanda is going to be a huge part in Doctor Strange too. We also know that Spider-Man is going to be in there. We see that Chris Evans is coming back in there. Tom Holland's going to be back in there. Possibly, I don't know if I said Iron Man.
Did you see the thing that happened that they mentioned? It was all over like social media. Was that if you sync up Loki, the last episode of Loki and the last episode of WandaVision, when Wanda like becomes the Scarlet Witch, like when that big like burst of power happens, it lines up with when Kang, or because that's Kang the Conqueror, they said, right? Yeah. When he like, when he looks off into the distance and he like he realized like the sacred timeline had been broken. They said they said that may have been one of the Nexus events that causes,
and it very well could be. Marvel is very good at doing that. I mean, crap, we watched three Iron Man movies, and so they were setting us up in the background for so long, and we didn't even know it until all of a sudden here comes Avengers, and you're like, that's like 6 years in planning, and oh my God, you set us all up, and we had no idea.
So I also saw this on TikTok earlier. Somebody's claiming that another Nexus event that started all this was Captain America. Okay, yes. So what he said was when Cap goes back to return the Infinity Stones, he goes and stays with Peggy, making him variants.
Yes.
And then apparently in the backgrounds on one of the episodes, you see them bring Peggy into the TVA.
Episode 1. Episode 1, she's walking through the time bureau. She is walking back there. So that is confirmed that, yes, she is in there. Marvel's really good at putting little teasers there and tying everything together. And you know what? It's smart about that. It's not even the point of just tying it in. Guess what? You're going to go buy the DVD, or you're going to subscribe to Disney Plus and be like, I need to rewatch that 1 second of Peggy Carter walking through going, yeah, it makes so much sense. It's a smart cash grab. It's a smart cash grab. Again, so much is going to happen with Kang the Conqueror. I was not happy with that rendition, but he's a variant of many of them. Kang the Conqueror, if anything, is possibly stronger than Thanos. If you know his history, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully we'll see him in his traditional garb and his helmet. But like I said, I'm excited. Just for Marvel. I mean, I'm a DC guy too, as comic books are concerned. Sadly, their movies just don't hold up to par. Their TV series and their animated series are way better than Marvel. Yeah. But it is what it is.
For the old Spider-Man cartoon. The old Spider-Man cartoon was
yes. Are you talking about the 90s one?
The 90s one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Well, that's old for me.
Yeah. No, I know.
That's when I was a kid.
No.
But yeah, that cartoon was mint.
Are you talking about Spider-Man and his amazing friends with Firestar and Iceman?
No. Different one.
Okay.
Isn't it the no, yep, that is the one I'm talking about. Yeah, no, you're right. Nope, that is the one I'm talking about. Yeah, I love that cartoon.
Which I loved. And all the Spider-Man cartoons have been pretty good throughout the years. And again, that's going to be another amazing movie. Now we have a multiverse. Not only do we have Marvel multiverse, we have the Spider-Man multiverse, where now it's the Spider-Verse, and now we're having Tobey Maguire and
Andrew Garfield.
They're all going to be portraying themselves in Spider-Man because he does have a Spider-Verse. It is a web, as funny as it and not ironic as it is, of the multiverse, similar to kind of what we saw in the animated cartoon with Miles Morales from Spider-Man 2099. So you're going to see all that. And on top of the Marvel multiverse coming majorly through Ant-Man and Doctor Strange. So I think it's going to be huge. I always, when I was talking over on Pod Houston, when I was the guest over there, we're talking way too much pop culture. It's already 15 minutes, but that's okay. When I was over there, I was talking with them, and I said, I started Earplug Podcast Network from Fanboys Inc. Obviously, there was issues going on, but I changed the name and the logo and the branding because sooner or later, the pop culture bubble is going to burst. Let's be honest. Sooner or later, it's going to be the rom-com that's going to take over again, or it's going to be the romantic comedy. There's always a trend. But for what Marvel's doing, I thought this would have burst in 5 years. I don't see this bursting for at least 10. I just the way everything's being creative, the way they're doing the small screen and putting things together. They're bringing in Charlie Cox is now going to be in Spider-Man. So they're actually taking actors for the first time from the small screen to the big screen, where before it was only big screen, which is Agent Coulson, who came from the big screen to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now they're going to take Charlie Cox, who was Daredevil in the Netflix series. Now they're putting him in a Spider-Man. I think that's a huge move. I think that's a really big move. And again, it's I don't want to say cash grab, but it's a smart investment. It gets you tied in. It's like a crossover event in a comic book where you have your main series and then you have to buy these 2 extra issues to get this crossover event where if you read 4 issues of X-Men, 4 issues of Avengers, they kind of similarly tell the story, but then you have like an annual or a special 2-issue crossover event. What ties them in? You're going to buy that. You're going to buy that to find that missing link. And I think that's really smart on Marvel's part. I mean, like I said, I haven't talked pop culture in 3 weeks, so I guess I'm a little.
The thing is, like, I don't think I could totally see where you come from, where it's going to last for the 10 years, just specifically because like comic book stuff, like it hasn't really died. Like I know there was a time where comic books were kind of struggling for a little bit.
Comic books are struggling. Comic books themselves are struggling.
Yeah, well, and especially since like a lot of the new issues you could literally just you could find for free online that you can just download. But like these stories and these heroes and stuff like that, they'll never go away because people will always find enjoyment in them. Like one day, sure, it's not going to be as big as it is right now or it has been in the past, but they'll always be there. Like they'll always keep doing them just because people enjoy that stuff. I
agree.
It's going to be amazing.
So have you read anything, or are you just kind of like a casual type reader, or just because you just
did I lose you?
Yeah, maybe. Are you there?
Nope, I'm here. Yep, yeah, no, I'm here.
Go ahead.
I'd have to say it did get a little choppy, but I have to say I'm a little bit of a casual reader. I haven't read a comic book in a minute. Like it's been a while. Just because I haven't had, especially because of COVID. Like I'm one of those people that like I can't read stuff on like my phone. I mean, I can read articles on my phone, but I can't read like books or anything like that on my phone. I like having the physical stuff.
Right.
So even ever since COVID, I haven't been able to make it to a comic book shop to like go buy anything.
I'm the same way. I mean, you got Comixology, you can buy digital through Amazon. I got to have the books. I got to have, and you might be too young for this, but there's a thing called comic book smell. It's the original newsprint comic books. There's something. I want a cologne of that. I want to smell like a dirty comic book. I mean, just growing up as a kid, you can smell the ink, you can smell the paper. That's something that just resonates with me. And then in the 90s, they changed things over because the newsprint, which you would think would be cheaper because it's thinner, quality's not as good, they moved to glossy, thicker paper, which ended up being cheaper in production, but it kind of lost that quality. It just was kind of like overproduced to a point. But
I do have to say, and sometimes I get intimidated because I'll walk into a comic book store and I'll just be like, I don't know where to start. Like I'll just stand there and be like, I don't know what to buy because I don't know where to start in a story.
And that's great that you brought that up because that's something we've always talked about. I am an ink smeller. You're damn right. I am an ink smeller. I love it. I didn't eat glue as a kid though, so that's a good thing. Good. Actually, no, I did eat glue as a kid. I can't help it. I do like Elmer's. And white bread. Well, if you eat white bread, if you eat Wonder Bread, it's the same thing as Elmer's glue. But so like I had a good friend who passed away a few years ago who owned a comic book shop, and we had talked for a long time that when the movie started coming out, people would come in. It's an impulse buy. Hey, Captain America just come out. Can you give me a comic book? Well, nothing that happened in the movie is going on in the comic book. So it's you have to really be smart as a comic book store owner to direct your customers, your brand new customers, to a story. Now, Civil War is a comic book. It is based off a series of comic books, so that works. And it's loosely based on that. But you're right. If you walked in and be like, hey, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2, that was great. Do you have anything like that? None of those comic books, even the old ones, have nothing to do with the storyline. You will never find anything there. It's like starting fresh. The characters are totally different. The storyline is totally different. So it gets confusing for the casual buyer to figure that out. So you know what I'm saying. So
no, I don't. No, I totally get what you're saying. That's always been my biggest problem. Like I know that Stan Lee made it a point to say that you have to make stories that people can just kind of hop into, because he said like somebody's, like, any comic book is somebody's first comic book. Right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it was always something that I always found super intimidating and a little harder to do, because it's like, there have been times where I just bought comic books like halfway through an arc of a story that they've been telling. I've been a little lost. I figured it out a little bit, but I've been a little lost. And I always find myself saying, damn, I really wish I would have got in on that on the beginning, and then figured out, where that goes from there. And I've also been a little bit jaded. The last comic book that I read through annoyed the crap out of me, because the last full comic book that I read through was the first issue where they played that whole Captain America was really a Hydra sleeper all along.
Oh, that was a bad one to walk into. Oh,
that was really so bad to walk into. It was not great. Yeah, it was not great.
The Hydra sleeper cell. Yeah, that was not.
I was not happy.
Well, on that bombshell, let's get into the show. Sorry, guys, for the little pop culture talk, but since Snacks isn't here, Tom and I actually get to have some fun. Not that we don't have fun talking sports, but we get to catch up on some of the stuff. On today's episode, there is so much to talk about. We haven't talked in weeks. Looks like Rodgers will get what he wants, but not in pay. Could Deshaun Watson get a happy ending? Bow, chicka, wow, wow. It's put up or shut up for the MLB as trade deadline looms. Who's got the cash? What? The Olympics are actually on this year? All that and more when we come back. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm so stoked. This is gonna be fun. We'll be right back.
Introducing Body Armor Edge, sports hydration with the boost of caffeine.
Kyler Murray drops back, looks downfield. Here comes the blitz. Murray finds an opening. And 99 dives and he misses. He's got daylight. Murray sprinting, picking up speed.
With 100 milligrams of caffeine and 1,000 milligrams of electrolytes, there's no better way for Kyler Murray to get his edge. It's more than a sports drink. It's Body Armor Edge.
Welcome back. Tuesday night edition today with DW. It is the sports edition with myself and Mr. Tom Greer.
Hello.
Snacks is still on his snackcation. Man, he must make a lot of money to take all these vacation days. What the hell's going on?
I wish I had Snacks life.
No, I don't think you want that.
No, I don't.
Not.
Snacks is very important, man.
Well, I got a lot of messages. Thanks for being so patient, brother. Here. Oh, we got the link. We got the rewatch from my guest appearance on Podcast Houston's masterclass. Awesome. I'll put that out later. Sorry, you're getting some live updates as we're talking live here. That was great. Thanks, Ozil, again, for asking me to be the special guest. If you want to learn about podcasting or just want to hear my voice for another hour, not that you don't hear it enough, I'll put that link up and you'll be able to listen to some of the good stuff. That was pretty cool. All right, let's get into today's show. So as I said in the beginning of the show, before the break, this has been something we've talked about. I think I have to say, all three of us, well, I don't know, maybe minus Snacks, we kind of called this a little bit a long time ago. And I want to say, even maybe before the professionals, we're far from professionals when it comes to the sports industry end of things. But we pretty much called what was going to happen. I know that I said that he wasn't going to go to practice. He did not go to practice. He showed up today because that's when the seniors show up. And I don't say senior citizens. But Aaron Rodgers got what he wanted. I know there's been a lot of drama and people are saying he's caused a lot of drama, but guess what? You know what? When you are one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, possibly underpaid, more so than anybody else in the NFL. That's up for debate. You have to make changes and you have to set a precedence. Now, obviously the Packers have backed down and he's got a new trade deal. I mean, he's got a new deal on his contract. The Green Bay Packers and quarterback Aaron Rodgers are near an agreement which is pretty much an agreement already confirmed, on a rework deal that will keep the quarterback in Green Bay for 2021 season, per NFL Media's Ian Rappaport. Also, CBS Sports NFL insider Jason LaFronta has confirmed the report. Rodgers is expected to report to camp, which he did once the deal has been finalized. While the deal is not complete yet, Rodgers has arrived in Green Bay on the day veterans were expected to report. Packers have their first official practice Wednesday, tomorrow, and it appears their star quarterback will be present. Now, people are giving him a lot of crap, and we're going to get Tom's take on this. I don't think anybody should be giving him crap. I honestly feel, and I think maybe Tom and I have been in agreement of this, that team has so much potential. They get so close, but what do? And it's not always Rodgers' fault. It's a whole team. They don't give him the full weapons he needs. They spend money on things that I don't think are as necessary as receivers, wide receivers, and to give him what he needs. This never happened to Brady. Brady got pretty much what he wanted. He's a spoiled brat. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Patriots fan first before I'm a Brady fan. I'm telling you, he's a spoiled brat. He got whatever he wanted. But at the same time, doesn't that reflect back onto your coach, your team, upper office, your ownership, to take care of your quarterback? I really feel Rodgers has been kind of like ignored me. Like, he's never going to leave. We got one of the best quarterbacks. We'll just give him his money and maybe not as much as he should get or deserves and just be good. He's never going to leave. What's your take, Tom?
It's I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, I think this is one of those rare, like, everybody wins situations, or I think the Packers may have won more than Rodgers did, because clearly at this point, Rodgers really does not want to be a Green Bay Packer. That's just flat out. They wanted to make him the second highest paid player in professional sports next to Lionel Messi. And Lionel Messi makes a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And he said no. So it wasn't about him making more money.
Right.
It was about he wanted everything to be on his terms, mm-hmm. So, but the problem is the Packers had him for another year. They had him into the 2023 season. Like they said, that's what this new deal is going to get rid of. And they were like, look, we're not just going to trade you, and we're not just going to let you walk. So you're either playing or you're retiring. You have two options. So they called his bluff. He's going to play, but they're going to at least give him an out after next year. So, knock on wood, Aaron Rodgers makes it through the season healthy. Nothing bad happens. He'll get what he wants, and he'll be able to be out of the Packers next year. So, like, I think it's one of those, like, weird win-wins, but I think the Packers really came out ahead on this one than Rodgers did.
Why do you feel like that?
Well, because Rodgers wanted out this year. Rodgers made it very clear that he wanted to be out of being with the Packers this year. The Packers were like, no, we're not giving that to you. You're not leaving this year. You're either playing this year or you're going to retire. Right. So the Packers called his bluff, said, all right, look, you play this year. We'll let you walk at the end of the year, or we'll trade you. If we're out of it, they'll probably trade him. And
do you think he'll take a trade, or do you think he'll retire?
It'll probably, if the Packers they're not going to be, but if the Packers are bad for some reason and they want to cash out and they want to cash out on Aaron Rodgers, they'll probably trade. He'll probably accept a trade somewhere. I wouldn't doubt that.
He is younger than Brady. It
probably depends on the place, though.
I do. I agree. And I also feel at the same time, wouldn't it be funny? Be like, hey, I just won you a Super Bowl. Hey, we want to renegotiate your deal. And he's like, nope, F you. I'm out.
Now that I think about it, they probably won't be able to trade him mid-year, because football is one of those things where, like, if you're trading for a quarterback in the middle of the year when your team's like, if the Packers were out of it, okay, and they're looking to trade Aaron Rodgers to another team, the team that's contending for a Super Bowl is not trading for Aaron Rodgers because they already have a quarterback in place.
Yeah, of course.
Unless somebody wants to get hurt.
I'm talking next season. But I think it's a win for him. He, as a quarterback, listen, we had Brady make some major changes on the way you make deals in the beginning of last year, where he went to Tampa Bay and made people realize, oh, maybe we have a little bit more say in what we're going to do. Yeah. So he set a trend. Now Rodgers just set another trend, maybe not necessarily a good trend. Be like, I'm not going to practice. I don't really care. I'm not doing this. Not everybody is Brady and not everybody's Aaron Rodgers, but he'd set a precedence going, I'm standing up for myself, whether it's drama or not. This is just the way it's going to be. the Packers folded. I mean, listen, what team folds and says, all right, we just got you out of your contract for you just play this year and then you're done with
but here's also if the Packers didn't have Jordan Love sitting behind Aaron Rodgers and didn't believe Jordan Love might be the next quarterback that they could have, they wouldn't have done it this way because they wouldn't have had a backup
I don't know.
plan.
That's semantics, I think.
Well, no, because look at it, because think about it. Like Aaron Rodgers, like I think we mentioned this on the show a little while back. This is the same thing that happened with Brett Favre. Brett Favre was with the Packers. The Packers, they did what they did to Favre. They were successful. They won a Super Bowl. Then they were playoff contenders most years. Just they never got over the hump of being a Super Bowl winner again. They were just playoff contenders. And then then they drafted Rodgers. Rodgers sat behind Favre. Favre, got a little butthurt because they wanted to start working in Rodgers and figure out what they had. And Favre wanted out. Right. This is basically the same. And then he did his will I retire, won't I retire thing, and then wound up with the Jets and then the Vikings. This is almost exactly what's happening. The reason the Packers are so comfortable with Rodgers walking or leaving is because they realize he's closer to the end of his career than he is the beginning, and they have Jordan Love just waiting behind him because they believe Jordan Love is the second coming, So
right.
The only reason that I think the Packers may have won a little bit more is because football's a very taxing game. Mm-hmm. Okay, so each year you're not necessarily going into the next year, better off than you were the year before. So like it's no guarantee. Unfortunately, it's no guarantee that Aaron Rodgers is going to be the same player next year that he's going to be this year or in years past.
Of course.
So the Packers were basically like, look, you can either play or retire. Those are your two options. I know you want to leave, but we ain't letting you leave this year. Right, so you can either come here and play or you can come here and you can go retire. So they called his bluff, and Rodgers was like, all right, if I can get somewhere else next year, I'll play, with no guarantees. There's no guarantee he's going to be able to, knocking on wood, because I don't want this to happen, but something could happen this year. And then Rodgers then that future with another team doesn't exist. Right. You know what I mean? So
I understand.
I think
what do you
Packers
think? Do you think
he
would go to another team or he's going to retire?
I think he'll go to another team. I definitely think he'll go to another team.
Who would you pick?
Jets. Everybody, the Jets got their quarterback now. They're not doing anything. They got Zach Wilson. They got Zach Wilson.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens this year.
I could see him going to the Niners if Trey Lance doesn't look great for them because he's still kind of a rookie. And it's Aaron Rodgers, so Aaron Rodgers. Right. I have this.
The Browns.
This is no, because they got Baker, and Baker's had them better than they've ever been in their history for a while. I have this Aaron Rodgers is like a contingency plan. So here's my hypothetical. Hypothetically speaking, the Giants have their season. They have all these weapons around Daniel Jones. I happen to believe in Daniel Jones very much. I think he's going to be good this year because he finally has some people to work with. But if he's not, and they need to go in a different direction, well, this team is in win now mode. They got a decent defense. They got a good running back. They got a solid running back, good receivers. All they need is a starting quarterback. So if Rodgers is going to be a free agent next year, back up the Brinks truck and bring Rodgers into East Rutherford.
Do you think they have the money?
I think they'll figure it out. I think they figure that part out. But in terms of like places that I think Rodgers could go, I think it's always going to be Denver. He's going to be linked to Denver forever. He'll be linked to San Fran forever. My problem is what we've had this conversation for weeks. I don't know a team that Rodgers can go to right now that's going to put him in a better situation to win a Super Bowl than the Green Bay Packers. I don't know. I can't think of that.
Well, listen, we didn't think Tampa Bay. We didn't think that when Brady went to Tampa Bay, they would go that far. I didn't.
I did.
It was a full goddamn hypothetical BS call. There's nothing.
Okay, I didn't know that he was definitely going to win a Super Bowl, but if you were to tell me that Tom Brady was going to win a Super Bowl in his first year in Tampa, I wouldn't be surprised because again, he went down there with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, OJ Howard, Gronk came with him. So like there were a lot of weapons that Brady went down to Tampa.
I understand that.
There was a lot of things that were already down there.
There was a lot of things against him too. There was no practicing. I mean, granted, he's the GOAT. Shoot me if you want me to, whatever. He's the GOAT. But so's Aaron Rodgers. Let's be honest. I think he's one of the most underrated, best quarterbacks there is in the NFL. So again, any team, if Brady can do it, we could see Rodgers go into a brand new team the following year. Yes, I agree. This year, it's the best plan to stay with them because he knows the routine, he knows the players, he knows the format, he knows the coaching. So yes, they have a great opportunity. But again, if Brady can do it, goddamn, as long as Rodgers gets what he wants as far as the supporting characters he needs for that game, he could definitely do it.
That's it. Well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, if he's going to a situation that's much like Brady, which I can't off the top of my head, I can't think of one that'll be available at this moment. Like, if he's going into a situation like Brady, where he's like stepping into a team with an insane amount of weapons around him, yeah, of course he'll be able to do what Brady did. It's just, if you're asking me what team is that now for Rodgers,
we don't have one right now.
I don't know if there is one. You know, like Mike Evans going into last year, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were two of the leading receivers in the NFL. Like they were, big time, so I don't know if there's a situation like that for Rodgers necessarily right this second, we'll see what happens next year, but I don't know.
Well, let's move on. We need some theme music for this one. It appears the Houston Texans have softened their hardline stance on whether they'll trade Deshaun Watson. Ever since Watson reportedly made it clear he wanted a trade, the Texans drew a line in the sand, refusing to take any calls from teams regarding a possible move. Why am I playing this music? Because a man has many happy endings right now, and when I said happy endings, you know what I mean. Times have changed massively, though, with Watson now facing 22 civil lawsuits that allege sexual misconduct and massage sessions. Yes, meaning happy endings. The former first-round pick reported to training camp to avoid being fined $50,000 per day, which he probably could afford at this point. Houston is now willing to take trade calls on Watson, per Tom Purcello of NFL Network. This is not shocking for me. This reminds me of back in the day of Dallas. It reminds me back in the day when somebody on the Patriots actually supposedly didn't kill anybody, but they let him play for the entire season and found out, guess what? He did.
He killed somebody. Yeah.
He killed somebody. So this does not shock me at all. It shocks me that Houston is willing to take the trade. I get the PR part of it. I'm not going to be shocked if somebody takes him. What's your take?
I'll be shocked if somebody, because he's still under. Like, again, you're innocent until proven guilty. He hasn't been proven guilty. I think that's obviously important to say. 22 civil cases, not great. He'll probably wind up on the commissioner's exempt list. Like he's probably not going to play much football this year.
Right.
So I don't know of a team that's going to want to fork up, because what I think one of the articles that I was reading, it originally started at 3 first-round picks and players.
Yeah. And then it went to 5.
And then it went to 5 first-round picks and players. I don't know any team in the NFL that's going to trade 5 first-round picks and 2 starting players for a guy that they don't even know if he's going to be playing on the field next year.
So do you think, obviously, the Houston Kim. So do you think that Houston thinks very highly of him? Obviously, you're asking for 5 first-round draft picks. Do you think this is smoke and mirrors to appease the fans going, hey, we attempted to get rid of him, but guess what? Nobody would take our offer. Guess what? He's going to be playing on our team this year, and we're going to kick some ass.
They either know something that is not too great about this situation, or they're just doing it to save face. Like, they either know something that's going to come out that nobody knows yet.
Right.
Or they're just trying to save face and saying, look, we're trying to trade him, even though the price they're asking for is absolutely ridiculous. Nobody's going to take that.
As Mike Tyson would say, it's ludicrous. I don't want to understand. It's ludicrous.
No, it's not going to happen. They're not going to. He's going to be a Houston Texan this year. And you know why he's going to be a Houston Texan? Because the Dallas Cowboys already have a starting quarterback. A guy with legal trouble, a quarterback or a player with legal troubles. Jerry Jones must be foaming at the mouth to get this guy in there. No, so I don't. He'll be a Texan. He's going to be a Texan. He's going to stay a Texan, at least for a little while.
I agree. I think this is a smoke and mirrors play. I think this is just to appease the crowd, appease the masses. I mean, come on, 5 first-round draft picks. There's nobody in the NFL, nobody that is going to give them that. There's nobody.
5 first-round picks and 2 starting players. That's ridiculous.
Not going to happen. He ain't that good in the first place.
Well,
he's good. He's good.
Yeah, I don't think he's not, again, because I also understand that, like, first round picks get overvalued a little bit because, like, there are a lot of first round picks that wind up busting. Like there's a lot of guys that it's like they're not worth that first round grade that you're giving them. Like you can find value in other places other in the draft.
Look at Brady. What round draft pick was he?
I hate the 6th or 7th.
Yeah,
he was late.
I hate bringing him up, but he kind of meets the. I mean, come on, he's 6th round. Yeah, nobody expected him to be who he was. Or who he is,
a lot of guys. There's plenty of guys that were late round draft picks that wind up being amazing. So. I don't necessarily, but 5 first round picks is still a lot. 2 starting players is still a lot. But Deshaun Watson, if this like legal troubles and all, if he didn't have these 22 civil lawsuits against him and wasn't going to face any suspensions or commissioner's exempt list, he's one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the game right now. Agreed. So he's worth a lot. He is worth a lot. He is worth a lot. A haul of picks.
Do you really think he's worth the first 5?
I guess it depends on the team that's trading for him, but it's a lot. That trading 5 first round.
What team is willing? Team is strong enough to be willing to get rid of their first 5 round draft picks? Tampa Bay.
I don't know. Maybe I know they're talking about the Dolphins might still be a landing spot for him because like that's the thing. Like you're getting a guy that's still in his mid to early 20s.
Yes,
and he'll be your franchise quarterback for the next decade, so like you might have to eat 5 years of a first round draft pick, but if he's a good quarterback, like if he's a star franchise quarterback like he has been for his entire career, and he can lead you to success, like your team, like let's say he goes to the Dolphins, okay, and the Dolphins are contenders in the AFC East, they're making the playoffs regularly, going on deep playoff runs, their picks are going to be at the back of the draft anyway, so they might look at it like, well, I'm going to trade those because I don't need that. A back-end draft pick I can just get from someplace. I could trade and get someplace else, or I'll just get a guy in the 2nd round, Gotcha. So I understand the thought of getting a Deshaun Watson because he's a generational talent, but not if he's going to be suspended or wind up on the exempt list. Right. I don't know why you would do that.
Exactly. I think, like I said, it's smoke and mirrors. Let's move on. God damn it. It's the only thing I didn't miss for 2 weeks.
Just a bit outside.
That's right. Baseball. With August just days away, it's becoming easier to differentiate between the contenders and the pretenders. Guess what? See who's got the cash. Also looming is MLB's trade deadline. Friday is teams' last chance to fill any needs going into the pennant race and ideally the playoffs. On the flip side, teams with expiring contracts and dwindling postseason hopes can upload players who may not be in their longer-term plans. Now, I am not too much familiar with this. I know I know Tom he's biting at the bit to talk about this. But before we get into this, since we haven't talked, we might not be able to get to some of the other articles in here because we got some good stuff here and we still have Today in Sports History. Let's talk Mets, baby. I'm not a baseball huge fan. I watched actually 3 games last year, probably more Mets games I've ever watched in my entire life, thanks to Tom. But the Mets are on goddamn fire.
All right, we're set to go.
It's been good. It's been kind of up and down. It's a little rough because they've still been battling the injury bug. Jacob deGrom is still hurt. They're waiting for him to come back. Francisco Lindor is out for, they said, like 3 to 5 weeks, so he's not coming back until
you guys are still kicking butt though.
They're kicking butt in the sense of they play in a really, really bad division. So the Phillies stink, the Braves stink, the Marlins stink, and the Nationals stink. So no matter how bad the Mets the Mets can get sometimes, because look, there have been times where the bullpen's blown it. There have been times where they just decide to not hit consistently for a few days. Right. Even though all that happens, the Mets still have a decent lead within the division because all the other teams behind them are garbage. And and as I'm sitting here right now, the Atlanta Braves
sell your team short now. Don't be selling your team short now. Don't be selling them short now. Come on.
Listen. I am, whenever people ask me what I am fan wise, my words are long suffering Mets fan. It's because I've been through a lot of I have a lot of scars from this team. So, I got to be real about it. They're winning. They are winning. The team has been hitting a little bit recently. They're in first place right now. I get all that. But there are some problems. Like they need another bullpen arm. They need another starting pitcher. They need I'll take another bat to put in the lineup. That's why I'm excited for the trade deadline to get here, because I want to see if they add they're not going to add Max Scherzer because there's no way the Nats trade him within the division, but I want to see who they could trade for. Are they going to bring in Chris Bryant or Trevor Story? Are they going to get a reliever?
You got Uncle Stevie, who's got the biggest pockets in the MLB, so that's definitely going to help.
Yeah, I mean, they got to also want the people that were trading them, trading the other way, and I got to be a little bit more confident that we'll be okay with that. But that's why I love the trade deadline. We were just talking about the trade deadline. It's one of the most fun parts of the season because it's like you get to see some star players move. You get to see them change uniforms. A lot of teams that are contending for playoff spots, you see them just get stronger. You know what I mean? Like you'll just see them trade for guys that's going to go out and help them. Like the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a juggernaut right now. They might go out and trade for Max Scherzer because Trevor Bauer's in all his legal troubles, and I can't imagine what it would be like having Scherzer out in LA. That'd be amazing for them.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? The Cubs are about to look decimated. The Cubs are going to lose Anthony Rizzo, who's been there forever. Chris Bryant's going to get traded. Javi Baez is going to get traded. Wilson Contreras is going to get traded. They're just going to trade everybody. The Cubs are going to be gone. The Cubs that won the World Series like 3 or 4 years ago, they're going to be gone. They're
the new Mets. They're the new Mets.
Yeah, like they're going to go another 100 years without winning a World Series. Probably not, but the trade deadline is just so much fun. I love the trade deadline.
I hear you. Well, we'll see what Uncle Stevie does on that. On that bombshell, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about, and this is funny how the sports edition, how everything comes around. We're going to talk a little bit about mental health. Now, if anybody's listened on the network the last couple of months or weeks, I should say, we have the first new, and I don't know if any other network has done this. I don't want to pat myself in the back, but we actually have a themed day now of themed podcasts, and it's Mindful Mondays. So it's and we're going to give them a quick shout out. It's going to be Adirondack Zen, which is out every other Monday. It's Tranquility Zone with Lisa Wolf. And of course, our Saturday mornings live, which with Coffee Talk with physical trainer Ryan Holderman. And then his episodes are out on his other episode audio versions are out on Monday. We're kind of tying it in. It kind of goes right back into this where a major athlete has decided to say, hey, it's time to go. I don't care about the medal. I need to take care of my mental health. And I think that's very important, especially in today's athletic game. I think it's very important. And I got to say, it takes a lot of kudos. So we're going to talk more about that and more when we come back. Oh, today in sports history. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, I'm Baker Mayfield.
I'm Anthony Rizzo.
I'm Donovan Mitchell.
I'm Diana Taurasi.
I'm Ryan Blaney.
And I have something to confess.
I had a formidable Beanie Baby collection.
I used to say YOLO a lot.
I paid a lot of money for ringtones.
I had a sick flowing mullet one time.
My Cabbage Patch Kid's name was Dolores.
I used to rock bleached tips.
I used to rank my friends on MySpace.
I rented movies at Blockbuster.
I used to wear jorts. That's right, jean shorts.
I used to drink Gatorade.
Yeah, I used to drink Gatorade.
We all used to drink it.
It was the only sports drink out there.
Now there's Body Armor.
I drink Body Armor now.
I drink Body Armor now.
I'm Team Body Armor now.
Welcome back. Today with DW Sports Edition with Mr. Tom Greer from Grindhouse Radio and many other podcasts.
I know.
The Greers. You know what? You might as well just start another one called The Greers.
I want to do one by myself. I want to try and do one on my own. I just don't know what to do yet. I've been trying to think of something just to me sit behind a microphone and babble for a little bit, but I can't figure it out. I don't know what to do.
Duh, it's called sports, Tom.
Yeah, I know, but I like debating sports with people. I like talking sports with people. That's the fun part, I could do that. I was thinking about it.
You just have, you could just make it live and debate when people come on. I mean, that's going to be good.
True.
I mean, obviously you're also on Wednesdays with the Brim.
Yeah.
And that's what's the name of that? So everybody knows.
Truly Inconsequential.
And that's a bunch of debate and arguing. That's a bunch of fanboys on that show. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Can you tease what this week is since it's tomorrow?
If I knew who it was going to be, I would be able to tease for you. But right now I have no idea.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, we'll fly by the seat of our pants a little bit. So I'm trying. I'm actually,
all right.
I've actually been trying to think about that all day. So
nice. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I want to be a third one. I want to be your first third. I'm telling you right now, that would be a great idea.
I'll talk more about it. Yeah. I'll see if
I want to be your I want to be your first third.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of weird, but
we'll figure it out. I'll ask Brim. That might be fun. That'll probably be fun.
I think that would be fun. So we're going to get right into Today in Sports History. Today in Sports History is brought to you by Adventure Family Fun Center. They are open inside and out. There are no COVID restrictions. Go-karts are amazing. Inside snack bar, laser tag. There's an indoor gymnasium. There's just so much there. Check them out. Check them out over at adventurefamilyfun.com for their hours, because they have been changing their hours just because of summertime and changing everything up. But if you do go up there, if anything, you got to try the go-karts. It's some of the best go-kart riding in upstate New York. And if you go up there, use this is a new code now, ADKV 2021, somewhat shorter than the last one. Thanks, Hank. You'll get 6 tickets for $35. That's $10 off the regular price. So you're saving. So it's $45. You're saving $10, and you'll get 6 of those. So if you have 6 friends, family members, or if there's just 3 of you and you want to go twice, which is awesome because that's what I've done before. It's great. It's a great price. Again, it's ADKV 2021 at the ticket booth for the go-karts to receive 6 tickets for $35, $10 off the regular price. Mr. Tom Greer, what's going on in history today?
Okay, today in sports history. Now, I was wondering why, when I was reading sports history, why there wasn't more Olympic stuff. And then I remembered, oh, yeah, this is supposed to be an off year for the Olympics. So that would make a lot of sense. So 1947, New York Yankees catcher Yogi Berra starts a record 148-game errorless streak, which is bananas. Wow. I can't think anybody that could do something like that again, especially after watching the Mets the past couple of weeks. Guillorme had 3 in one game. 1983, Gaylord Perry joins Nolan Ryan and Steve Carlton to reach 3,500 career strikeouts in that season. He also wins his first game as a Royal, which is very cool. 1984, the Reds' Pete Rose collects his 3,503rd career single versus the Philadelphia Phillies.
Did he bet on that?
What did he bet on? He probably did. 1999, Tony Hawk is the first skateboarder to land the 900. That's crazy. That video is still viral. And in 2003, the 90th Tour de France had no winner because Lance Armstrong got disqualified. Doping.
Yes. Doping, which was a new thing. You know what? Great. I was not obviously I'm not a bicyclist, but I looked up to Lance Armstrong. Obviously I ran 2 marathons when I was younger. So I was really doing a lot more than I am now. Obviously I've been working out again, but I really looked up to them. And realizing what he did, obviously he lied about it. Then he came out on Oprah and did his whole PR thing. I really didn't know how to take that because I really did look up to him. Like, I didn't care about cycling, but I watched the Tour de France because it's Lance Armstrong. The man has survived cancer. The man has broken all these records. And then we see blood doping. And I'm like, then I even, in my own mind, going, well, it's not that bad. It's not steroids. I mean, I was trying to make justifications for a situation. It's like, so I had to do a lot of research on it. I'm like, wow, this is pretty intense. I mean, this is pretty intense for this. And I still made justification going, oh, well, it's cancer. And oh, he probably had to do it for his treatments. I mean, I was getting upset myself because I'm making excuses for a man who cheated.
Yeah. It's rough. It's rough. It sucks because, Lance Armstrong was a really good, he was a good message for people. And then it came out that he was cheating. So
nobody will touch him now.
Yeah. And that, exactly. When was the last time you saw Lance Armstrong do anything? I think he had a documentary come out not too long ago.
Yeah,
about the whole thing.
Yeah, because he needed money, and guess what? So does Bill Cosby. So listen, I mean, there's a pudding pops.
Oh boy, that Cosby situation.
Oh, I like the ice cream. Oh, pudding pops. But anyway,
did you see when they went? I mean, it's because I'm assuming it's because he's getting old and a little senile. When they were leading him out of the prison, he did the Fat Albert, hey, hey, hey.
Yeah, because he won.
That's ridiculous.
Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, I mean, he won.
Yeah,
I mean, and he didn't look blind to me. That man seemed to walk all very well by himself.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And now he's got a documentary to tell his side of the story, and he'll make thousands of dollars. And he's going on tour. I don't know who would pay for him or pay to see him. Whatever. This is the sports edition, not the pudding pop hour with Bill Cosby. So we're going to keep going on with the Olympics. Like I said before and before the commercial, over the years, people with high profile occupations like athletes, musicians, and actors or anybody in a major occupation, or any of us, have compromised their mental health at the expense of their craft. The idea that you have to power through filming a movie, performing at a concert, or competing in a game because people are depending on you often causes you to compromise the time needed to rebuild your mental, physical, emotional stamina. Now, I'm not an expert on this at all, but because of the podcasts that we've been doing that have come into the studio in the last month or so, I've definitely gotten a better awareness of how important mental health is and excuse me, how it affects you physically. Obviously, not even just being an athlete, but just your day in and day out routines.
Yeah.
Being an Olympic athlete, being any professional athlete. I can't say being an Olympian is more stressful than being a professional baseball player. Maybe it depends on the person. I mean, you only get to do it once every 4 years. So it's a little more, it's a little bit more new. It's not like you're doing how many games a season. Anything that's when you're on that level of, the country's looking at you. You know what? I guess I'm going to say maybe an Olympian may have more pressure on them than a baseball player. The whole United States is looking at you.
Yep.
You're a New York Mets fan. Only the Met fans are looking at you. Not to dislude any Mets fans, but any fans of the team. But you have the entire country looking at you, and you screw up. That's it. So that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
So what's your take on this, and how do you feel about this?
Mental health, mental health is important. It is kind of nuts. I would argue, because I'm kind of with you, but I think it's a little bit more stressful for her case because, she's been doing this since she was a kid.
And who's her? I don't think I mentioned her name.
Simone Biles. Simone Biles.
Yep.
Simone Biles, famously right now, she's taking a step back from competing in the Olympics. She said it's we'll see where it happens. I'm paraphrasing. She said, we'll see what happens because she's got to take, she said it was taking a big toll on her being the face of the United States going into the Olympics. It's a lot,
Five-time gold medalist. Damn straight.
5-time gold medalist. They're already calling her the greatest of all time when it comes to the gymnastics. She has maneuvers named after her, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? So, it's a lot of pressure, especially when you have the entire country on your back for the most part. Everybody's there to watch you. And then, she was a part of the whole I think it's Larry Nasser, that guy, that coach that was harassing a lot of the girl or the women that were a part of the program. She was involved in that. She's been doing this since she was 18 years old back in, I think it was 2016. I believe it was 2016 is when she first competed. Not
being a professional baseball player or NFL player, not to degrade, I don't want to say demean it, but being an Olympian is a full lifestyle. I mean, how long has she been doing this? You don't just compete at the Olympics. You're competing year round at other events and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, I joke. I mean, Babe Ruth, he was smoking cigars and drinking, and look at what, I mean, not that.
Well, it's also,
but go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's like, it's harder to, the Olympics is every 4 years. That's what it is. So you have to be the best at what you can do for 4 years. Your shelf life within the Olympic Games is a lot shorter. Baseball players, football players, hockey players, their careers might be short, but baseball player, if you're bad for a week, you got another week to come back. If you're bad for half a season, you got a whole half a season to come back from it. However long your contract is, you have years to fall back on that you're going to be around for a while.
You don't have that in the Olympics.
You don't have that in the Olympics. It's the biggest stage for amateur sports, the highlight of amateur. Like the only time anybody really cares about gymnastics, freaking curling, archery, for all this stuff. The only time anybody cares about fencing, the only time anybody cares about this stuff, judo, is for the Olympics.
On a side note, 33% down considering of previous years. A lot of people don't consider the Olympics important, but
I blame NBC for that.
That may be. The other thing is, how's the team take this? With her exit, the U.S. team took a silver, and the Russian Olympic Committee took gold. So there's something else there. Was that stressing her out? I mean, obviously it was her choice. Was the team supportive? We haven't really heard what their team has stated. I'm assuming, I'm really hoping they're supportive. But again, I don't know. I mean, if they took a silver and not a gold, and they're like, really, this is our one chance, and you decided to bail on us. I could see that happening. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Other people have worked just as hard as she has. I still commend her. I mean, I don't care. Honestly, I wouldn't care what the team thought. This is my personal decision. And we don't know what the mental health issue is. We don't know the background. We don't know what's causing her to do this, but it's important enough for her to do this. I think it's stronger for her to have left the Olympics saying, I'm taking care of myself, than going through the Olympics and maybe only getting a bronze or a silver and not doing 100%. And now that's going to stress her out even more. I think this is very courageous of her. I really do.
I agree with you. And especially since you saw it, I didn't really watch a lot of the gymnastic stuff when it comes to the Olympics. I haven't watched a lot of it yet. I've been trying to catch up on a lot of the Olympics that I have, some of the events that I have been watching. Skateboarding's been really cool.
Yes.
Madness surfing. But they did show her not be on her game. Like there were times within this Olympics, and she was off her game. Her maneuvers wouldn't be as sharp and crisp as they normally would be. And, a lot of people are attributing that to these struggles, these mental health issues that she's been having, which, I get because I get where the teams might be upset because it's like, look, you're right. I worked just as hard as you. And I worked my butt off to get here, and we're supposed to do this as a team. Like we're supposed to work together and get this gold. You're bailing on us. But I also think it would be bad for her to just say, all right, I'm going to go do this without my head fully in it.
I'm not going to do it. If I'm going to do it,
maybe they didn't get silver. Maybe they wouldn't get silver. Maybe they wouldn't get silver. Maybe you're right. Maybe like she steps in, her head's not fully into it because she's got things that she has to work through. And maybe they get bronze. Maybe that throws them off and they wind up not medaling, like you don't know really what happens at that point. So I think it's totally is. Simone Biles is totally in the right. Like, if you're not, if you're having mental health is really important in this world, in this, in life. So if you're not in it, you need to take those days. You do that. You do whatever you can to keep yourself, your mental state. Okay. That's the most important thing.
I think people don't realize the stress that athletes go through because they see the face, they see them performing. Oh my God, she's amazing. He's amazing. Oh my God, he hit 4 home runs. Yeah, you don't see it in the locker room. You don't see it at training. You don't see it at home. I don't think they see that. And, and a prime example is Robin Williams. That man was the funniest and happiest man when it came to film or being out there, but he had some major demons and he committed suicide. That's, you put on a face. You don't know the situation at hand. And for somebody, like Robin Williams, who had a lot of demons and was very unhappy, this was, when he's out performing or out talking and being funny, that was his way of just kind of like putting it aside for a few minutes. But then you go home, there's nobody to make laugh. There's nobody there to tell a joke to. Now you're in your own head. Now you got to deal with that all the time,
on a day-in day-out basis.
Yes.
And I think the problem also is like people, like the average person, us like 9 to 5 or people working their 9 to 5s, people working office jobs, garbage men, contractors, now again, I'm not singling anybody out. I'm just using them as examples. Like the average Joe looks at athletes and says, you're lucky to be there. You're getting paid a lot of money, or you're getting all this fame and recognition to play a game that I used to play in my backyard, or a game that I played as a child. They don't look at it as necessarily as a hardworking job.
They're
what I
not
mean?
lucky. You bust your ass to get to that level. No, that's not like, hey, I just threw a couple pitches and guess what? I got lucky and now I'm in the major leagues. Bull crap.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. Hey, Billy, I understand that you batted 300 when you were in Little League when you were 10 years old, but guess what? You would look like an absolute fool if you stepped in the box against a major league pitcher.
And you're 300 plus pounds and you eat ding dongs for the day. So that's why you're not in the major leagues.
Exactly. I think that's the problem, is people have this disconnect between them and athletes. Like they can't relate to them because these athletes are playing what they deem is a kid's game, or it's nothing that serious. So they'll always initially be like, oh, well, what's your problem? You have a great life. You're playing a sport that everybody dreams of playing. Get your head together and go step in the box and play. It's your job. It's like, well, everybody needs a mental health day. Everybody needs, it's a profession. It's a profession for them. What's fun for you? It's fun for you to go out and play beer league softball and get on a baseball field and catch baseballs or softballs or something like that. It's work for these guys. That's their lives, you got to so Simone Biles, it's good for her, man. Like,
Thumbs up.
You're the GOAT already. You got 5 gold medals. People are lucky enough to be even called an Olympian. So she did her thing.
She's got nothing to prove. She's got
nothing to prove. Nothing to prove to nobody.
And lastly, we're going to keep talking about the Olympics. Tokyo Olympics, obviously, did they open? I guess so, because we were talking about it. Open ceremony delayed a year because of COVID-19 pandemic. Drew 16.7 million viewers for NBC on Friday, the smallest audience of the network broadcast in the past 33 years. And this data is coming from the Comcast-owned NBC Universal on Saturday. The TV audience dropped 37% from the Rio de Janeiro opening ceremony in 2016, when 26.5 million people watched, and 59% from 2012, when 40.7 million people watched the London opener. The Tokyo ratings factored in both the live broadcast early Friday morning and primetime re-airing. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm a big Summer Olympics guy. I mean, I'm not in it like 100%, but I'm aware. I didn't even know what was going on this year. Just because of my day in, day out routine, my life. Obviously, we're still not 100% out of COVID yet. So there was other things going on that I didn't even realize, because I'm like, oh, well, we have baseball. We didn't have sports. We didn't have the Olympics last year. We didn't have this last year. They say that's going to happen. They say it's not going to happen. I don't know. And then one day I'm like, oh, wow, I missed the opener. I missed the second day. I missed the third day. I missed the fourth day. I'm like, holy crap. Is it marketing? Tom says that he's got a take on this as far as it's NBC's fault. When you watch, it keeps saying 2020. People are getting pissed. Really? You want to spend all that extra marketing to put out 2021 on everything? It doesn't matter, first off, everybody. So what? Because that was confusing. I'm like, is that a replay? Did I miss the Olympics last year? Did I miss something? I had to re-second think we guess, but why are you bitching about that? First off, are you the fanboys of the Olympics? Give a crap. It says 2020. It's a lot of money being for the production of all this. Just leave it the way it is. And it's kind of like a homage to last year because of the COVID. What's your take? Why do you think it's down?
I think it's down because when it's in Tokyo, it's the opposite time zones. Like me and Kim were hanging out at my house on Sunday night at we were literally up at 11:30. We were up at midnight watching skateboarding because it was noon over there in Tokyo.
Right.
So I think that's a problem, is the time difference. And NBC is doing a terrible job letting people know where and when to find a lot of these events.
That's true, because I tried to research that. It's so hard to find.
Yeah, they're doing a really bad job of letting you know where to find stuff. They're having a bad job helping you program stuff. They'll put things on Peacock and not really tell you. They won't tell you the outcomes of some things because they want you to wait and watch the replay later on that night. It's like, can you just be straightforward? The Olympics is happening. Just broadcast the Olympics. Is it that hard to do? Is it that hard to just say, okay, this is the sport that's happening. This is what you're watching at this time. I'm sure the Olympics themselves have it all regimented out and scheduled out. This is happening at specific times. Why can't NBC do that? I don't understand what their problem is.
Right.
I agree. I wanted to watch surfing. We got I'm pretty sure it's the first gold medal in surfing, and I'm pretty sure a U.S. woman won it. I was so excited. I wanted to watch that. I had no idea when surfing was happening. I was told, Kim told me earlier today. When I was trying to come up, find some stuff to talk,
you can't even Google it
to talk about. Yeah. I had no idea. No idea.
It's ridiculous. So obviously it was a last minute thing because we knew at one point they said, yes, we're going to have it. But then there were some situations going on with COVID and whatnot. And obviously some athletes weren't able to make it. Some countries weren't able to make it. So literally it was a last minute decision going, oh, we got to air it. Let's do it. I'm sure there were, I don't know if it's their fault, bad preparation on their end, but it was definitely last minute. There was definitely days with okay, we're going to do it. They're all going to Tokyo and we're going to just go. I don't know. I think do I think that we can get into the political end of it, and it's in an Asian country and people already have this issue about Asians already that's going on. I haven't heard anything per se online, but even if I did, just because it's online doesn't make it true. We'll have to see what happens. We did talk about, I did look up some stats that having the Olympics in your city or in your country does not benefit the country or that city one bit. Nope. You actually end up losing millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I forgot the exact stats. I had them set up. The only thing that it does benefit, which is kind of tough here this year because Tokyo is not allowing spectators in the indoor events. They are allowing spectators on the outdoor events. And it brings a ton of money to hotels, local restaurants, and businesses there. Obviously, that turnout is a little bit less. But when it comes to the city itself, and yes, they get grants. Who was it that I forgot who it was the last time around for the Winter Olympics? It was 8 years ago. The country lost $5 billion.
Yuck.
Because of the amount of money they built for the stadium. They don't use the stadium. The facilities are just sitting there. There's nobody using the pools. There's nobody using the tracks. There's nobody using anything. So it just sits there. It's like the Greece Coliseum that it's just not doing anything. Where some other countries have been using them to rent them out for other professional teams to use them as training facilities. Some even have been able to use them as vacation spots. Now we know Lake Placid, which is only a couple hours away from me, obviously on a much smaller scale than some of these other Olympic homes. They had hosted the Olympics twice. And I believe the first time was in 1980 or 1982 where the U.S. won. 1980, where the U.S. hockey team won for the first time against the Russians, which was a huge deal. And they use their facility year round. I mean, you can do summer luging, you can go to the arena, you can check it out, and they do a good job with that. Obviously, it's on a much smaller scale than Tokyo and whatnot, but they are using the advantages or using what they have to recoup the money back. But again, everybody's like, well, why have the Olympics? It's a prestige thing. It's an honor. Honor doesn't make money. Let's put it that way. Honor, but it is a prestigious thing. And, I hope that whenever we get it back in the States, if it's ever confirmed, hopefully whatever city or state takes it on, that they're smart about it and use it afterwards, because that's a lot of money right there. I mean, hopefully we get this, I think too, because nobody's there in the stadium or in the indoor arenas, people don't want to watch. I mean, as funny as it sounds, there's something to be said about watching the spectators or watching the people there, hearing the crowd. We're not even there. And we've already talked about this, about, the baseball and NFL pumping in, artificial sounds. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So I can see that to a point, but I do have to agree with you that because of the time changes and the replays, I mean, you can't even go on Dish or even on Spectrum, which we have up here, and try to find the scheduling. It's just nuts. You can't even Google it. And if you do Google it, there's 4 different places and they're all different. So you're never going to get your surfing, Tom, because it's all over the place.
They need to figure it out, and maybe for the Winter Olympics have it a little bit more organized, because I feel like it's never been this hard before. I love watching the Olympics. It's always so much fun.
I think the soccer, it's not the World Cup. Is it the Green Cup? What's going on right now? Is it the World? It's not the World Cup. The soccer tournament's getting more views than the Olympics, and that has something to say about what's happening with the sport of soccer compared to the Olympics at this point as well. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Before we go, I want to thank our sponsors, advertisers, of course, Body Armor. Visit drinkbodyarmor.com for a location near you. I will tell you that if you are looking for Edge, good luck. It's been very hard to find. They are selling out like crazy, which I think is amazing. Tom is the only one out of all of us here in the sports edition that actually has any Edge. I can't even get it from I can't even get it from the big boys. That's how hard it is. So if you get it, make sure you try it. Something like that's selling out. It's not because there's no employees or, distribution's low. They are doing a really great job with this product, and I think it's amazing. And whether paid endorsement or not, I would, honestly, even if it sucked and I got paid, I still say it. I probably wouldn't get paid anymore, but I would be truthful to you. Also, Adventure Family Fun Center. Visit adventurefamilyfun.com for their hours and operations. Also, when you go to the go-karts, make sure you go to the go-karts. You know what? Call me if you go to the go-karts. Maybe I can get you an extra deal. ADKV 2021 to receive 6 tickets for $35. That's $10 off the regular price. And lastly, cannot forget the Shirt Factory. Visit shirtfactorygf.com for all the awesome shops they have there on the property. And they are doing their food truck corral, one of the biggest food truck corrals in upstate New York, every Thursday night from 4:30 to 8:30. I'm going to try to do a remote, probably not this week, but next week, try to do a remote from there. It might not be an official remote, but I haven't been able to go and enjoy some of the great food out there. Like I said, amazing food trucks, face painting, beer tasting, live music. I don't believe they brought back the bounce houses yet just because of just their personal situation. Obviously, COVID restrictions haven't been lifted. But if you need more information, visit shirtfactorygf.com. Tom, any last words before we take off for the evening?
Nothing crazy. Just happy to be back. Happy to be doing this again. Miss talking sports every week. And looking forward to doing it again next week.
And since Tom didn't say it, go Mets.
Yeah.
This has been an Earplug Podcast presentation, found on earplugpodcast.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and wherever your favorite podcasts are found.